The tension between Alex and Emma was almost unbearable as they left the bistro, their hands brushing as they walked down the quiet side street, away from prying eyes. The warm afternoon sun was bright overhead, but the real heat was simmering between them, pulsing like an unspoken promise. Their steps quickened, the quiet anticipation hanging thick in the air, neither one needing to say a word. His apartment wasn't far, just a short walk, but every step felt like an eternity. Emma's hand slipped into his, fingers interlocking as she glanced up at him with a knowing smile. His heart raced in his chest, every touch igniting a fire deep inside him. They had stolen moments before, brief and forbidden, but this was different. This was them, finally giving in to the magnetic pull that had been drawing them together for months. By the time they reached his door, Alex's pulse was hammering, his body alive with a desperate need to feel her against him, all pretense and restraint abandoned. His hands shook slightly as he unlocked the door, pushing it open, the world outside disappearing the moment they stepped inside. The door closed with a soft click, sealing them in their own private world. The moment they were alone, the atmosphere shifted. Emma's breath quickened, her eyes dark with desire as she turned to him. Alex barely had time to catch his breath before she closed the distance between them, her hands sliding up his chest, pulling him toward her. Their lips met in a heated kiss, all the pent-up longing from their lunchtime rendezvous exploding between them. Her hands roamed over his chest, fingers slipping under the fabric of his shirt as she pushed him back toward the couch. His hands found her waist, fingers gripping the soft fabric of her blouse, pulling her closer, the feel of her body pressed against his intoxicating. Emma's mouth moved urgently against his, her kisses filled with a raw, aching need that mirrored his own. With a swift, graceful movement, she straddled him as he fell back onto the couch, her thighs pressing against his hips, the heat of her body sinking into him. Alex groaned softly, his hands sliding up her sides, fingers tracing the curve of her waist before slipping under her blouse. Her skin was warm, soft, and his touch left a trail of fire in its wake. Emma's lips left his, trailing down his jaw to his neck, her breath hot against his skin. She bit down gently, her teeth grazing the sensitive spot just beneath his ear, and Alex shivered, his grip tightening on her hips. His head tilted back, eyes fluttering closed as she kissed her way down his throat, her tongue teasing the pulse that beat wildly beneath his skin. Emma. His voice was low, strained, as he fought to control the overwhelming desire coursing through him. His hands slid up her back, pulling her closer, feeling the way her body responded to his touch. She arched against him, a soft moan escaping her lips as her fingers tangled in his hair, tugging just enough to make him groan in response. His hands found the hem of her blouse, pulling it up and over her head in one smooth motion, revealing the delicate lace beneath. Emma smiled, her gaze locking with his as she reached for the buttons of his shirt, her fingers moving deftly as she undid them one by one. Each inch of exposed skin was a gift, her fingers and lips trailing over his chest as she unbuttoned his shirt, leaving him breathless beneath her. The moment his shirt was off, Alex pulled her back to him, their lips crashing together in a kiss that was all fire and passion. His hands moved to her hips, gripping them tightly as he rolled them over, pressing her back into the cushions. Emma gasped, her legs wrapping around his waist as he hovered above her, their bodies so close, the heat between them almost unbearable. For a moment, they paused, their breath mingling as they looked at each other, the weight of the moment sinking in. This was real. There were no more barriers between them, no more stolen glances or forbidden touches. It was just them, alone in the quiet of his apartment, with nothing to stop them from finally giving in. "I've wanted this for so long," Emma whispered, her voice barely more than a breath. Her hands slid up his back, pulling him closer as she looked into his eyes, the intensity of her gaze sending a thrill through him. Alex couldn't hold back anymore. His lips found hers again, slower this time, savoring the taste of her, the feel of her body beneath his. His hands roamed over her, memorizing every curve, every soft gasp that escaped her lips as he touched her. Emma's nails grazed his back, her hips arching up to meet his, her body pleading for more. He kissed his way down her neck, over her collarbone, his lips trailing over her bare skin as his hands worked to free her from the last of her clothing. Emma's breath hitched, her hands gripping his shoulders as he moved lower, his mouth teasing, exploring every inch of her until she was trembling beneath him. The world outside was forgotten. Time ceased to exist as they lost themselves in each other, in the heat and the desire that had been building for so long. Every touch, every kiss was electric, their bodies moving together in perfect rhythm, as if they had been made for each other. The passion between them was raw, overwhelming, but beneath it all was something deeper, an undeniable connection, a love that had been waiting for this moment, for them to finally give in. And as they lay together, tangled in each other, their breath mingling, hearts pounding in unison, they knew that this wasn't just a fleeting moment. It was the beginning of something that neither of them could ever walk away from.